If you had one shot, or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, did you capture it? Just let it slip. Yo.
Good morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Vose, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Man, what a day, what a day. Great day underway. Monday, another week. If you had one chance, one opportunity, would you take it, or are you just going to let it slip away? Man, sometimes you just want to let it slip away. I hear you. Man, I'll tell you what, speaking of slipping away, I mean, not that that's the best choice we can make. Obviously, we're going to talk all about that for sure. But, you know, if you had one chance, one opportunity, what are you going to do? You know, today's another day. If you're listening to me, then God allowed you to wake up, man. So you're awake. Make it a day. As my buddy Ben Briscoe says, we got to position ourselves to win every day. And what are you going to do today to position yourself to win? And win can be defined in so many different ways. And I mean, I don't mean to be getting really deep into a subject here right as we come on Turfs Up Radio with Profit Time today. But, you know, have you really thought about it? What are you doing to position yourself to win? Because I've already seen several crazy things on social media today. And, I swear, I don't even know why I look at it other than I look for some funny things to talk about and some serious things to talk about sometimes on there. But, you know, one that I was looking at was a guy that was talking about, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because he listens to me quite a bit. But he's like, okay, I told a guy, man, hey, while I'm doing this, basically was going to give the guy a little bit of freedom to go out and for just down the street to do something. And he said, hey, man, pull a lawnmower off the trailer, go down the street and mow this yard. You know, it's just literally a couple houses down. And he said a few minutes later, you know, his wife looks out the window and the guy's just standing there like he's lost. And she walks out there and he says, oh, man, I've just smoked a lot of weed. I forgot what I was supposed to do. Seriously? Seriously? I mean, come on, man. Is that the industry that we're in? I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is. I think we deal with stupid shit like that, but you shouldn't. I mean, you know, the comment was, well, I guess I can't let him go out by himself. You can't let him go out by himself. And I mean, and I am not talking bad about you because, you know, I got your back a lot of times. But I mean, that's not, I can't let him go out on his own. I mean, why do you even want somebody on your team like that, man? I mean, even, you know, whether it's a one-person company or two people or three people or 4 million people that you've got employed, you got to do better than that. You got to do better than that. And, you know, one thing for sure, none of us are perfect. I'm not, you're not, nobody is. But at the end of the day, you know, I appreciate you guys texting me. Good morning, Doug. Appreciate you. And Aaron, appreciate you texting too. You know, it's not funny, but it is worth talking about. You're exactly right. It's like, and I'm not going to spend my whole show on it. I mean, I'll spend as much time as y'all think we need to spend on it. But, you know, the reality of it is we need let me rephrase that because I really hadn't thought about it because I just looked at it 3 minutes ago. You know, I think what you have to do as the owner of your business is ask yourself, and, you know, last week we talked about it, and that's image. and we talk about it a lot. Is that the image you want? And I guarantee you 99.9% of us are going to say absolutely not. Absolutely not. So then the next question comes up, and this was part of what I was going to talk about today, is I've just got quite a few little things I was going to talk about, but questions of the day, and I got several things I was going to talk about. I was also going to talk a little bit about picking a name for your business. But, when I saw this, we're still going to talk about those because we're definitely not going to dedicate an hour to people getting high after they're already at work. But I think we do need to talk about it a little bit and ask yourself, man, what are you going to do that's different and better than your competitor? What are you going to do that's different and better than your competitor when it comes to having to address something like that? Let me read this text here real quick. Sometimes it seems that way. When we hire the bottom feeder of the pond, and that's all that's left. As a small company, a random drug test. We got to think about how we're going to separate ourselves. Absolutely. That's a great text. I appreciate that. Guys joke about it and say, well, if I drug tested, I wouldn't have anybody. Well, okay, wait till somebody high wrecks your truck. Wait till somebody high runs over their foot. Wait till somebody high runs over, whatever. There's so many, many things that can go wrong in that scenario that it's just crazy. Just got a text in from Jesse. He says, man, I'll work alone before I work with that. Absolutely. It's not worth it. And then you got people then you got people that sit out there and say, well, I work better high. Bull S. Maybe you think you work better high because you've always worked high. But the reality of it is you ought to try it the other way. Appreciate your guys' interaction on this, man. Let's see. Do we attract this type of person? Not the industry itself, but the owner. That's an absolute great point. And I think that's to my point here. That is, okay, we're not, maybe you don't know. But when you find out something like this, is that something or somebody you're going to keep on board? If that's something somebody's going to do it in their own time at their own home, that's up to them, man. But when they bring it to your business, when they bring it to you, then it's time for you to make a choice. And ask yourself, is that the image that I want for my company? And I think without a doubt, most of us are going to say no. Because I'm 58 years old, guys. Okay. I grew up in an era when smoking weed was not okay, but it was okay kind of thing, So I'm not being a Debbie Downer on somebody that wants to get high. I'm not condoning it, okay, by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm just saying, is that what you want working with you? Is that the image you want for your company? Guy gets out of the truck and a customer approaches him and walks up and, because you're not stupid. Most people know what it smells like. And, I can hear some of you guys joking about it right now saying, yeah, somebody might say, hey, man, here, you want a blunt, No, man, it's funny to laugh about and it's funny to joke about. But let's look at it from a more serious point. What does it do to your company? What does it do to your professionalism? And when it's damaging your company and it's reducing your professionalism, I guarantee it's hitting in on the profit dollars. I guarantee it. So if you had one chance, one opportunity, you going to fix that problem? Or are you just going to let it slip away because you say, man, there ain't nobody any better? I'm kind of like Jesse on his text, man, that he sent me. I'm working alone before I'm working with that. And on that note, fellas, we're up on our break. Turf Time is 10:10 a.m. I appreciate all your input on that, man. That was quick and to the point for you guys getting it in there. But, hey, we'll be right back. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station. See you shortly.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Playing the best music.
Hands down and dirty. Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio.
Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up.
Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Attention all veterans. Have you heard about Turf's Up Radio's Jobs for Vets program? If you are looking for a job and you're interested in working in the landscape and snow removal profession, there just might be a company in your local area that is looking to hire. All you have to do is send us your resume at jobsforvets@turfsupradio.com. That's jobsforvets@turfsupradio.com. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Lawn and landscape pros need to keep their competitive edge, and the easiest way to do that is by attending GIE Plus Expo this October 20th through the 22nd. There's only one word to describe the biggest action-packed experience in the outdoor equipment industry. Wow! Over 1,000 indoor exhibits wall-to-wall with innovative products and the latest technology. Talk face-to-face with the engineers that design your favorite equipment. Then step outside and dive into the hands-on demo area where you can drive, dig, and compare equipment to your heart's delight. This year, the wow gets even bigger with the new UTV test track, the hands-on drone zone, and free parking. Free parking! Register now at GIE-Expo.com, and we'll see you in Louisville, Kentucky this October.
Yes, indeedy. We will see you. The GIE Plus Expo in Louisville. Man, it'll be here before we know it. I mean, it's just a little over a month away. It's hard to believe. Look forward to meeting you guys. Turf's Up Radio, we're going to be there in a big way. So looking forward to you guys swinging by and saying hello. And we're going to be walking the aisles and talking to a lot of you guys inside, outside, and everywhere in between. And, man, it's just going to be a great, great time, great event. Clear some file space out of your mind before you get there because, man, there's just going to be so much to do. So many new things to see and stuff to learn, and man, it's just awesome. If this is your first time coming, you're going to love it. I guarantee you're going to be back. And if you're coming back if you've already been at least once, you know why you're coming back. It's just a great time. So we look forward to seeing all you guys there for sure, and be sure to say hey.
Isn't it nice when the weather cooperates and crews complete jobs on time and on budget? But weather can cause delays, and with paper route sheets, jobs get lost in the shuffle. That's why you need Aspire Crew Control scheduling software, an easy-to-use, flexible, and affordable solution that allows you to shift schedules with a single click. Try Aspire Crew Control for free at aspirecrewcontrol.com.
Check it out if you haven't had a chance to look at it and take advantage of that 14-day free trial. You owe it to yourself to do it. I'm not going to sit here and make jokes about what we were talking about earlier, but, because, we really do. We got one shot, one opportunity. And, Aspire Crew Control is that opportunity it does so many things, man, that can't get in. I'm not going to spend an hour talking about it. I'm just saying, take the time, check it out, get the pencil out of your hand, get the pen out of your hand, start letting Dave and his crew and their software take care of your routing for you. something you can take off the table. You know, it's something you can take off the table and make your life a lot easier. This is your one chance, one opportunity. You going to take it, or you going to let it slip away?
If you're making the trip to the GIE Plus Expo, then you don't want to miss the Big and Rich concert presented by Heritage Landscape Supply Group at the Mercury Ballroom on Thursday, October 21st. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. right after the event floor closes. Tickets, food, and drinks are all free of charge and all provided by Heritage. To get your free tickets while they last, register online at heritagelandscapesuppligroup.com. What are you waiting for? Register now.
Save a horse, ride a cowboy.
Absolutely. Go ahead and hit their website up, heritagelandscapesuppligroup.com. Get your free ticket, and it's going to be free drinks, free food, free fellowship, great music, Big and Rich. I mean, what more could you ask for? You know, it's going to be Thursday, October 21st. It's going to be a great time to sit down or stand up and walk around, meet some people, talk to all the guys there with Heritage Landscape Supply. You know, their whole team, Chris and his team's going to be there. Turfs Up Radio, we're all going to be there. And, hey, the only thing missing is you. We'll see you there.
Yeah. Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Weekend Review.
The Weekend Review.
Join King Darren and all of your favorite Turfs Up Radio hosts, including Heculus, Eric, the Turf Teacher Jones, Ryan. Ryan Lee, Wayne, the Prophet Bowles,
One opportunity.
his son Daniel, the Ford, the Green Veteran, Giddy Up, and many more. Join us live as we unpack the week and share what you may have missed live on Turfs Up Radio. That's the Weekend Review, Saturdays, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be here before we know it. You know, you think, man, it's Saturday. It's just Monday. But, you know, before long, you know, hey, the weeks go along. I mean, it's crazy. Can you guys believe it's already mid-September? I mean, we're almost through the middle of September. Time flies when you're having fun. Certainly does here on Turfs Up Radio. I know that. I love my show, Profit Time. I love you guys getting interactive with me. And, you know, Mondays, we got, you know, we've already had Eric and Heckabus and Daniel with the pump station. And now here we are with Profit Time. And then, you know, a little later, we got Jose Rowland show at 1. And then we're back to Heckapus tonight. So, man, it's a great day to be alive, right? It's a great day to be alive. What'd you do this weekend, by the way? Kind of got by that little bit talking about the gentleman there that decided he was going to get so high this morning for work that he forgot he was supposed to get a lawnmower off. But did you have a good weekend? Hopefully you got to do something fun. I had a pretty good weekend. Spent a little bit of time down at the lake, and then Saturday I did the grandfather thing. Me and Jane, we got to go watch our granddaughters play volleyball, and then we went and watched a little cheerleading, and, you know, got my grandfather the award for the day. But, no, it's awesome. Got 3 granddaughters, and they're just awesome little girls. And, you know, as much as I love the lake, one of the good things about coming to the end of lake season, if there's a good thing, right, I got to look at the good side of it as we creep in on fall, and then that, you know, stops. But is getting to go watching them do their thing, you know, whether it's cheerleading or volleyball or basketball or whatever it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. What y'all do fun this weekend? Somebody shoot me a text and let me know. I know what somebody did something fun, you know, besides me. What are y'all into today? Taking advantage of a good day, hopefully where you're at. Hopefully it's not raining where it's at. Looks like we got a good couple days. Chance of rain here on Wednesday. But, you know, if we canceled work based on chances of rain, you know, we've had that discussion a million times, haven't we? But, you know, we never know for sure. We never know for sure. Always say go till you can't go. Then you know you're not wasting your time. So, with that being said, enough talking for a minute. Thought we'd do a little Foreigner. Listen to a little double vision here for a second. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about my story of the day. I think you guys like.
Do you want to see double?
Evidently, somebody did this morning.
Well, we'll show you double. Get it every night. Ooh, I need double vision. I need. It takes me out of my head. Taking me out of my head. Double vision. I get my double vision. Stop seeing double. Double vision. Can get you into double trouble. Know what I mean? Double vision. You need double vision. How long? Yeah, tell me. How strong? How much do you need? Double vision. Yeah. Oh, when it gets through to me, it's always new to me. My double vision gets the best of me. So let it get the best of you.
All righty there. A little double vision by Foreigner. Yes, indeedy. Let me see. What are we going to talk about? I forgot. No, not really. Just teasing. Just a little play on my start of my show. Hey, if you guys like what you're hearing here on Profit Time, I'd appreciate if you'd take time to download my podcast. Simply go to where you like to get your podcast, type in Profit Time, and download. There's all the shows we've done here. Also, Profits Unlimited's there, and appreciate you guys joining us on our Profits Unlimited Facebook page as well. It's kind of weird, it's not weird. It's kind of a bad problem, I got a little bit. When you type in Profits Unlimited, one of the first things that pops up, it talks about Profits Unlimited's a scam, so don't pay attention to that. That's another Profits Unlimited. So anyways, I just thought I'd share that with you. I had a guy bring that up to me, and I said, yeah, that happens. Sometimes it's not us being a scam, trust me. It's not. It's a guy that does investments for people. So evidently he's got a pretty good way of taking advantage of people. But that's certainly not us. That's not Wayne Vose. That's not Profits Unlimited, and it's certainly not Turfs Up Radio, because we're here to help elevate and educate the industry and ourselves. Hey, got a text of guy said he did some neat things over the weekend. Said he had some doves. So evidently, let's see, make sure. Yeah, they grilled up some birds that the sun killed. So, man, I had that one time. It was so cool. They had the dove breast with I think it was a water chestnut and a piece of bacon wrapped around it. You talk about off the hook good, man. Man, it'd make you not worry about your cholesterol for a minute. So, but man, I bet those were really, really good. So, but anyway. As we move along, wanted to talk about today something, getting on a serious note here, guys, seriously. On a more serious note, do you utilize a service contract? And why is it so important that you should? And I'll tell you where this came from. I was looking at something on social media over the weekend, and it honest to God, really, it struck home with me, because I remember this happening to me all the time. And the guy said, basically, he put a post up of a text that a customer had sent in that said, basically, I'm not going to pay for this. He said, if I knew it was going to cost me some money, I would have never told you to do the work. Now, let's think about that for a second. How does a customer, or why does a customer, and I know it goes back to educating the customer and all those things that, we're supposed to do, and we are as business owners and managers. I mean, we are here to educate our clients. I get that. But as a consumer, me as a consumer, you as a consumer, have you ever really walked into anywhere, whether it's a restaurant or a grocery store or, a dealership, and requested something and thought it was going to be free? I mean, why in the world do people think we're going to do things for free? And honest to God, when I was looking at this, it really struck home with me, because I used to have that same problem. People tell me, and to this situation first, then I'll cover my own. But to this situation first, the guy only charged, it was a $40 problem. But it really bigger than that when you look at the overall scheme of things, But he said, I would have never had you trim my hedges had I known it was going to cost me $40. The guy that cut my grass before you did it for free. That's why I asked you to do it. Really? I mean, why in the world did that guy think that was going to be free? Hey, I want you to trim my hedges. Well, the other guy did it for free. I thought you would too. Now, that does kind of go back into, why you need to utilize a service agreement, or at least why you need to confirm that with somebody. You know, you got certain customers that you work for, I know you do, that, you know, they fully expect to pay. And when they tell you to do something, you just say, okay, we'll get it scheduled, we'll get it done for you, you get the work done, you send them an invoice, and they pay for it. But on the other hand, there might be more people out here that are like this guy's customer that says, well, I didn't realize I was going to have to pay for it. The question is, what do you do in that situation? What do you do in that situation? Because I'll tell you, I got tired of eating those events. And let me explain to you how it happened to me, how it used to happen to me, and maybe this might fit in just a little bit better as a scenario, because it's a true scenario. Let's say you're talking to somebody right now, right now, and, you know, it's a new customer, and, okay, yeah, I want you to go ahead and mow my yard, and they say, well, do you trim hedges, or do you mulch, do you do fall cleanups? You know, yeah, we do that, and they're like, okay, well, you know, yeah, I'd like you to do that for me as well. And you're thinking, okay, all's good, right? Well, then they call you and say, hey, I want to get my hedges trimmed. And, yeah, you've already talked about doing it, but you never gave them a price on doing it. You never agreed to a price on doing it. But you do the work, kind of like this guy did. And then when you send the bill, they don't pay. And then they're like, well, I never authorized the work to be done. Have you ever been in a situation like that? That's the question. I had been plenty. And I got tired of having to eat it. You know, because our mindset as an owner a lot of times is, and not just in that situation, but what do we normally say to ourselves? Well, if I make them pay it, what are they going to do? If I make them pay it, what are they going to do? Well, in our mind, we say, well, they're going to fire me. Well, it is my fault. I shouldn't have done it. Yeah, we did talk about it. You know, throw that scenario into the spring of the year when you're talking to a lot of people and they say, yeah, that's cool. Just go ahead and get it scheduled for me, and whenever you can do it, do it. How many times haven't you heard that? You know, get it scheduled when you can do it, do it. And then you do it, then you bill the work, and then all of a sudden they get selective memory, as I call it, and now they don't want to pay for it again. I'm not the only person that it's happened to. I know I'm not, because I've read this guy's post. And I believe it's probably happened to most of us. I bet it's happened to most of you guys listening, where you just said, all right, man, just don't worry about it. Well, if you want to change something, if you had one chance and one opportunity to change something, now's your chance to change that from ever happening again. Just that simple. All you need to do is put it into a service agreement. Somebody said, or, you know, if you're already mowing for them, go ahead and get those services sold up front. Include that as part of that service contract with your customer. You know, let's see here. Got a couple texts coming in here. Let's see. That's right. This guy says, you know, Ben, he says, that's why the first guy's no longer in business, LOL. Remember, keep it clear and concise. Keep it clear and concise. I got a funny little story I'll tell you about that maybe here in a minute. I don't know. I got to decide in my mind if it's appropriate for radio. But it is. It's about keeping things clear and concise. You know, Doug says, yeah, it's happened a few times to him. I appreciate your honesty, Doug, because I guarantee you everybody listening has had it happen to them where they just said, don't worry about it. And if they haven't been in business long enough, and it will happen to them. But what we can do is minimize that problem by just simply keeping it clear and concise. Because a lot of times what we think we hear somebody say and what they actually say are two different things. And then when we go out and provide the service and they don't want to pay for it, that our fear factor mindset sets in and says, oh, man, all right, well, just don't worry about it. Let's just say it's a couple $100. I mean, $40 for trimming hedges. I don't care if it was one hedge. It's not enough. There needs to be a minimum on that. So I'm not throwing the person under the bus with that. If you're listening to me, if that was your post, we just need to talk. You know, your time and effort's worth more than $40 to do anything. But let's just say it's a couple $100. A couple $100 and you write it off. Or that's what we call it, writing it off, because that makes us feel better, right? The truth of the matter is it's already written off. Did you ever think about it that way? That's how I want you guys to start thinking. That's how I want you to start thinking. Let me explain that a little bit. And I'll explain it right after this break. I went a little bit long. We need to get to a break. Turf time is 10:36 a.m. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station. We'll be right back.
There's more to landscape lighting than just throwing a fixture under a tree. The best display is one that was not only designed well, but also stands the test of time. High-quality fixtures and bulbs are key to long-term success and customer happiness. At Emery Allen, our focus is on creating only the highest performance landscape bulbs in the industry, with long-lasting components that don't degrade or flicker with age. Each bulb's appearance is always consistent throughout your lighting project. We offer a wide range of base types, beam spreads, and color choices that will fit your needs. To learn more, give us a call at 843-480-4473 or email us at info@emeryallen.com.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, no one rocks like Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey, Turf's Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for Turf's Up Radio. Now you can catch us streaming live 24/7 with pro talk, pro tips, and pro interviews. Simply visit turfsupradio.com.
You're listening to Turf's Up Radio, the only radio station of its kind dedicated to the green industry. Now you can even ask Alexa to tune you in when you're home.
Lawn and landscape pros need to keep their competitive edge, and the easiest way to do that is by attending GIE Plus Expo this October 20th through the 22nd. There's only one word to describe the biggest action-packed experience in the outdoor equipment industry. Wow! Over 1,000 indoor exhibits wall-to-wall with innovative products and the latest technology. Talk face-to-face with the engineers that design your favorite equipment. Then step outside and dive into the hands-on demo area where you can drive, dig, and compare equipment to your heart's delight. This year, the wow gets even bigger with the new UTV test track, the hands-on drone zone, and free parking. Free parking! Register now at GIE-Expo.com, and we'll see you in Louisville, Kentucky this October.
Yes, indeedy. GIE Plus Expo. Make plans now to attend. And be sure to join us and the guys with Heritage Landscape Supply Group on October 21st. Free tickets sponsored by Heritage Landscape Supply. Go to their website at heritagelandscapesupply.group.com. Get your free tickets now. There's a limited number of tickets. It's going to be a great evening. Big and rich. Going to be great music, free drinks, free tickets. Man, what else could you ask for? What else could you ask for?
Hey, Turf's Up Radio fans, keep missing industry events but want to stay up to date on the action? Then simply download the Road Fuel Podcast by Turf's Up Radio on your mobile device. You'll hear everything you missed, including great interviews with showgoers and vendors keeping you in the know. That's the Road Fuel Podcast by Turf's Up Radio, or simply visit turfsupradio.com/Road Fuel.
Thought we'd listen to a little Bruce Springsteen before we get into the next segment here coming up. Let you think about those glory days within your business.
was a big baseball player back in high school. He could throw that speedball by you, make you look like a fool, boy. I'm going down to the well tonight, and I'm gonna drink till I get my fill. And I hope when I get old I don't sit around thinking about it, but I probably will. Yeah, just sitting back, trying to recapture a little of the glory of. Well, the time slips away and leaves you with nothing, mister, but boring stories of glory days. Yeah, they'll pass you by, glory days. In the wing of the young girl's eye, glory days. Glory days. Yeah, they'll pass you by, glory days. In the wing of the young girl's eye, glory days. Glory days. Well, all right. Ooh, yeah. Well, all right. Come on now. Well, all right. Ooh, yeah. All right. Come on now. Woo. 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 All right, boys. Keep it rocking now. Keep on going. We're going home now. Bring it home. Yeah. Bring it home.
All righty then. Absolutely. Bringing back the glory days. You know, let the glory days start right now today. Let that be the beginning of not writing anything else off. Now, that might be a big wish, right? That's okay. That's an overachiever on my end, okay? You know, you're going to have to write some stuff off. But the reality of it is, and here's something that always burned my butt just a little bit. You know, people say, well, man, just write it off. Just write it off. Well, you know what? When we go out and do a job, you know, let's say you go out and you mow a lawn or you go out and you spray a lawn. Once that lawn's been sprayed or once that landscape's been put in or once that yard's been mowed or whatever it is that you're doing, it don't matter what you're doing, fill in the blank. Once that dog's been pinned up and kenneled and fed, right, John? You know, John's world out there. You guys doing irrigation, just fill the blank in. It doesn't matter what it is. But once that service has been provided, the only thing that puts the money back into the company is the payment from the customer. You know, people say, well, write it off. What already is written off because I've already paid. Let's just say it's a landscape. I've already bought the plants. I've bought the mulch. The labor's already been paid once it's done. That labor's got to be paid for the people that did the work, whether it's you or you and a helper or whatever. So the expense has already been occurred. It's already happened. What's going to make your business work is when that customer pays that invoice. As simple as that sounds. I want you guys, that's my takeaway. That's my main takeaway from the show today, is know that once the service has been provided, the expense has taken place. So the fact that somebody tells you, well, man, just write it off, it's no big deal. Think of that. Everything is written off that you do. It's just, is the money coming back? So you can buy more supplies, so you can pay yourself, so you have the profit dollars that you need, so business can move along. We get too hung up sometimes in just saying, well, it's no big deal, when it does turn into a very big deal. It does turn in. Let's see what we got. He says, I just rode up on a mowing job and someone else has cut it. He didn't pay for the previous mow. Do you terminate service? You know, I appreciate the input on that, Joe. You know, my input I'd look at two things. First of all, I'd look and see, talking about having and utilizing service contracts, right? So if you don't have a service contract, then that's a different game plan. Still, you should be paid for the service. You know, he didn't pay you for the previous mow. Yeah, he owes you that for sure. And if you don't have a contract, maybe there's no future there earning potential that you got by the contract. But he certainly owes you for what you did. And I would find out what happened. Absolutely. Don't get mad at the guy mowing the grass because he was just hard to do the job, right? I used to get mad at the guy when I pull up and somebody's mowed it or somebody's done something else, and I was getting mad at the wrong person. You know, first person we got to ask is ourselves is why'd they switch? You know, how'd we fall short? Why'd he feel the need to get somebody else to mow the lawn? That's the first thing I'd want to find out. But absolutely, he owes you for what you did. And if I'm going to terminate the service or not would depend on the situation. I think that's a little bit broad to say yes or no just without knowing circumstances. You know, maybe in the consumers, and I'm not saying this at all, Joe. I'm not, but I mean, sometimes there's mitigating circumstances to why they did what they did, you know. But the reality of it is, too, maybe you did everything right and they just wanted to switch services and they were looking at you as a lawn guy, quote unquote. You know, well, it's no big deal. They don't realize that you've got thousands of dollars invested in trucks and trailers and lawnmowers and, you know, time and effort. They don't see that as being important to them. And it certainly should be. And that's why I suggest to each and everybody listening to me that you utilize a service contract with all your customers. It gives you a little bit of protection. Now, just because you got a contract doesn't mean you're always going to get paid. I'll be the first one to stand up and say that. But what it does do, it gives you the protection to get the money that you've got coming based on the terms of that contract. And a lot of times people, when you remind them that they do have a service contract with you, that's something we'll talk about on another show for sure, because it takes more than just a few minutes. And but the reality of it is, we got a webinar coming up. We're going to let you guys know about here shortly that we're going to talk about contracts, you know, and the importance of those contracts and why it needs to stop. When I say it needs to stop, what needs to stop is us as an industry, and don't anybody take us the wrong way and get mad at me, but not perceiving ourselves as a professional business. I can hear you guys getting pissed off, but I don't want you to. What I want you to hear me saying there is take your business to the next level. Take your individual business to the next level. Because at the end of the day, service agreements, what it really boils down to is it makes your company more valuable when it comes to selling it. And I'm kind of going down a different tangent right now. That happens to me quite a bit. You guys know that. But the reality of it is, when you got your customers under a service contract, it makes those customers more valuable at the end of the day. So, with that being said, Joe says he knew I had COVID and he was short-staffed and I've been a little bit behind. Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't understand that, and, you know, I understand the guy wants his yard cut, but that's why I said the mitigating circumstances behind something like that is whether he or she or you should terminate, you know. I mean, that's certainly, you're doing the best you can do, my friend. And if that ain't enough, goes back to my old buddy Steve Russ, you know. Used to always say, some will, some won't. So what? Move along, you know. I hope everything's going good with you. So, with that being said, Man, why are we running up on 10:51? Can y'all believe that? Where does the time go? You know, it's like, where does the time go? I saw something the other day, a name of a company, and this made me want to talk about picking a name for your business, and obviously we're not going to get there today. But the name of this guy's business, this was on a magnetic sign. It was called Cheapskates. Yep, you guys heard me right. Cheapskates. Scapes, not skates. Cheapskates. You know, really? I mean, if that's your business plan, I think you want to reconsider what the heck you're doing. What kind of clientele is that going to attract? You know, I'm not saying necessarily that maybe, you know, that's not the business model you want, because maybe it is. But you got to think of all the things that's going to drag along with it. It's going to drag along the people that may or may not have your best interest in mind, that may or may not understand perceived value. But obviously this guy's not worried about a whole lot of perceived value when he says cheapskates, you know. But I saw that and I was like, it just doesn't stop. 42 years in this industry, and things just recycle themselves over and over and over again. You know, we got to think about being more professional in what we do and how we do it. We're going to talk about picking a name maybe Wednesday. We'll get to that, guys. But, you know, and think about some questions too with that, because I think that's going to be fun. You know, there's always a funny side to talking about how'd you pick your name, and you know, and good things to have in your name, bad things to have in your name, and you know, things I would have done differently with that. But as we move along, you know, a good name is the difference between success and failure, without a doubt, or can be. You know, and ours was screwed up. I'll throw that out there right now. Ours was screwed up, to say the least, and we changed it about 15, 18 years ago now. It's been quite a while now, but we actually went through a rebranding process. So we'll touch base on that a little bit too. And you know, hey, as we come on in to the 11 o'clock hour here, I do want to cover something else that I think that's very important, because a lot of us are doing aeration and seeding, and this will probably be the last couple minutes we dedicate to that, you know, but I don't know, maybe not. But I had a conversation with a client the other day that we had aerated and broadcast seed at the yard, and he's like, going back to customer expectations, right? He said, I'm out here looking in my yard, and I don't see any grass seed in the holes. I'm out here looking in my yard, and I don't see any grass seed in the holes. Well, my first thought was, that's our goals, not to get the grass seed in the damn hole. I mean, if we could control that, man, we did a great job. We were really lucky that day. Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, and you see it all the time, for guys that don't know, you know, the debate between the customer and the service, well, there's no grass seed in the hoe. And this happens to all of us. And I know this person was explaining that, you know, you're not going to see grass seed in the hoe. We don't want the grass seed in the hoe. And why don't we want the grass seed in the hoe? Because there's no way that grass seed's going to germinate out of a 2.5-inch hoe or 3-inch hoe. It's going to run out of ability to come out of that hoe. So you aerate to reduce the compaction, right? That's part of the educational process to the customer. You know, and even though we gave that explanation, the customer was still concerned after the fact. And then once you remind them that, hey, remember we talked about that. Yeah, man, but it just don't make sense. we're the professional. We have to educate the client. But still sometimes, even though we've done our best to educate the client, it doesn't work. We still have to explain it again. You know, it goes back to sometimes we just got to justify it. You know, we got to sell the work, we got to do the work, and then we got to justify the invoicing. And be prepared to do that. But also be prepared to eliminate some of that by giving your customers and informing your customers. You know, when it comes to aeration or slit seating, you know, we have a sheet that we give everybody that explains care and maintenance and when to mow, what they're going to see, you know, but still, even with all that, you still get a few calls and say, well, you know, it's coming in really thick around the edges. Okay, well, check out those care and maintenance directions we left you. Tells you that's going to happen because we use a hand tiller around the edges, and that's seated by hand. It's not a calibrated machine that the yard is done with. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, you know, you can make your best effort to train and educate the client, but you still got to do some explanation on the backside sometimes. Don't get frustrated with it. You know, just know that, hey, that's why we don't do things for cheap. Charge for the value of your knowledge. And when you start charging for the value of your knowledge, and you're charging for the service that you're providing, you're not pricing your jobs based on the cost of the service. And that's when you become a profit-making machine. That's when you become a profit-making machine. It's when you understand how to create perceived value, sell based on the perceived value, train and educate your customer, and be willing to explain it after they've forgotten what you've explained to them. But if you charge enough to do that, you can do that and not be frustrated about doing it. Yeah, I still get pissed off sometimes. So, you know, when you hang up the phone with somebody and you're like, are they really that stupid? And the answer is yes. But you know what? They've paid for me to explain to them if it needs to be explained again. And that's what I want you to do. Know and understand that there's a value to each and every service that you provide. Don't look at it, because how many times doesn't that customer say, man, I could do that myself? It's the wrong client. We've went fishing with the wrong bait. We've caught the wrong client. Fish with perceived value and professionalism and the ability not to get mad when somebody calls in and says, hey, man, I don't see grass in the hose. And know that you've charged them enough to explain that to them again and why it makes sense. That, my friends, is what makes things work well for you and your company and ultimately your customers. So with that being said, we're up on 11 o'clock. Hard to believe. And you say, Wayne, that was a long way to get to that simple point. That was a long way to get to that simple point. But what the takeaway is simply this. If you don't perceive yourself as a professional service, you certainly won't charge as a professional service, and you cannot sell yourself as a professional service. It all starts with you. If you had one chance and one opportunity, would you take it, or would you just let it slip away? See you Wednesday.
Grab that cash with both hands and make a stash. New car, caviar, 4-star, daydream, think about me, football. Don't